This week, I'm eating all my meals in alphabetical order. Example, first meal, everything on the plate begins with A. Second meal, every food begins with B, and so on until my 26th and final meal where everything will begin with Z. I'm doing this because I'm a terrible cook and I need a creative way to get my awful ass in the kitchen. So right now you might be asking, well, you might not be good at cooking, but it's not like you're the worst cook in America, right? Wrong. I was literally on season 21 of Food Network's hit show, Worst Cooks in America. Ow! Ow. And maybe now you're like, oh, but you were on the show and learned and got better, right? Wrong again. I was so bad I got asked to be back on for season 22 of Worst Cooks in America, where I was the first person eliminated. Also, right before we dive in, at the end of the video, I'm gonna let you guys know if I got better at cooking or not, and if this project was worth doing or completely unnecessary, just like the rest of my videos. For meal A, I went to the grocery store and got anchovies, avocados, apples, and almond milk. And now you're probably thinking, that's a really odd combo. Why did you choose that? Well, I didn't. Because for this video, my Instagram audience top comments were in charge of whatever I ate the next day. And for the very first meal, they apparently wanted to see me pass away. I've never successfully cut an avocado before, so I couldn't believe when this happened. Whoa! Oh! I caught the seed with my knife on the first slice. It's not often that you get a nut like that. Hey, yo! Oh, we're gonna put the anchovies on top. Oh, on the first letter, on the first letter. Anyways, I tasted the meal and it was average. The avocados tasted amazing. The anchovies tasted like ass. For meal B, I went back to the store and my audience decided the A meal wasn't bad enough. So they suggested bread and butter, not toast. I want to have toast, but toast plays in teeth. Bologna, beer, and baby food. The baby food actually wasn't that bad, which is pretty on brand for me. And I might be the only person to ever eat baby food and beer simultaneously. If not, we live in a pretty f***ed up world. The meal rating for this was in fact bad. For meal C, I went back to a closer grocery store that is more expensive, and I only go there when I'm really lazy, which is every day. The reason why I'm not going to the store just once and going 3 times a day is because I like to think of my meals one at a time. This letter was the worst by far of the day. I made chicken curry, which I absolutely bombed, a carrot, a piece of cheese, a chocolate bar, coffee, and someone suggested a cigarillo. Now, I didn't eat it, but doesn't it look like my Instagram audience wants to unalive me? This is a sad f***ing plate of food. Cheese is like the second best thing on this plate. This meal was cruel. At this point, after getting my ass handed to me by the letter C, I looked down the alphabet and wondered, what the hell am I gonna do when I get to X? What foods begin with X? Xanax? After day 1's misery, I was hoping day 2 would be better, but knowing my audience, they would probably suggest something like dog food, and when I looked, they actually did not suggest that. I caught a break. But they did suggest donuts and Dijon mustard, and in hindsight, it probably wasn't the best decision to dip the donuts in the Dijon mustard and think that it potentially could be good, but again, very on brand for me. I'll give this meal a deceitful. Meal E, I was actually really excited about. I went back to my lazy store again and got eggplant, enchiladas, edamame, and raw eggs. I've never made eggplant in my entire life, just like most foods. So I looked up a YouTube video on how to cut eggplant into cubes and they made it look really easy, and I'm sorry, it's not f***ing easy. Is this good? But the eggplant actually turned out really good. The enchiladas I just microwaved. I put Old Bay seasoning on the edamame, loved that. And I might be weird, but I don't know. I like raw eggs. They're easy, they're efficient. They potentially might be dangerous. Anyways, I'll give this meal an excellent. And for my last meal of the day, well, it wasn't really a meal. It was French fries, figs, and fudge sauce. Fun fact, we had a grilled cheese competition on my last season of Worst Cooks in America. Michael Simon was one of the judges, and he loved my grilled cheese sandwich because I put figs in it. I ended up winning the competition, and guess what they did? They ended up not showing it on TV. What the f***? That was the only thing I won on that show. My curiosity piqued, and I dipped both the fries and figs into the fudge sauce, and it kind of worked, I guess. I'll give this meal a flavorful. Day 2 was a much better day, which led me to believe day 3 was gonna be a really shitty day, as my Instagram audience hates me for some reason. First meal out the gate, the G meal, it wasn't too bad. I went to my lazy grocery store again. You might be seeing a pattern here. And I got granola, grapes, gummy worms, and grapefruit juice, all of which I really like besides grapefruit juice. Grapefruit juice f***ing sucks. Besides the grapefruit juice, I'll give this meal a glamorous. For meal H, I decided to tap into my roots on this channel and get the hot dog meal at Costco, which might be a cop-out, but I don't care. I make the rules around here. This meal gets a hell yeah, brother, from me. This is not a paid advertisement, but it should be. Like I said before, my approach has been one meal at a time, which is good because it allows me to focus on what I'm doing in the present moment, but it's also bad because now I don't know what the f to do for the letter I. There are no foods that begin with I. There's like Indian food, but that's more of like a food grouping, and I've already had chicken curry. There's icing, there's iceberg lettuce. What do I do? So I did what any 5-year-old would do for dinner. I ate ice cream, which might be the first time I've actually had it for dinner, so it was definitely a lifelong dream for me.
I just ate all that ice cream. Something is wrong with me, for sure, which is fine.
This meal, I'll say, was inspiring. I was pretty tough, but it's not like there's gonna be any other tough letters before I get to X, right? Oh wait, I don't know what starts with J. Someone in my audience suggested I take a shot of Jägermeister, which I thought was insane, AKA very good for this video. I'm not a huge fan of this shot, nor is it a meal, so I'll give it a joyless. On day 3, I did no cooking at all, and fun fact, if you don't do something, you don't get better at it. So my focus for day 4 was to get back in the kitchen. For meal K, I got kielbasa, ketchup, kimchi, kale, and kombucha. I did a pretty good job with the kielbasa, I thought, but Ron, the maintenance manager at my apartment building, he was over fixing the ceiling. I gave him some in confidence, and he said it wasn't cooked all the way through, and I was trying to kill him.
No, your cooking skills is
questionable.
garbage.
Whatever, Ron. I'm a 2-time worst cook in America. Your words cannot hurt me. I thought I did a pretty good job, though, so I'll give it a rating, but not literally for you, Ron. For L, one of my followers suggested I get lobster. Thank you to that person. I love you forever. I also got licorice, a lemon, a lime, and lemonade. And if you were thinking there's no way I was going to eat this lime, you're either 1, new to this channel, or 2, an idiot, because that's exactly what I did. I did it, and I regretted it. But the lobster tail was a banger, so for this meal, it gets a legendary from me. The letter M, ton of foods that begin with it, but none are really like super heavy hitters. So what I did was I went all out for this letter. Also, this store has a DJ sometime, and he was playing the bangers today. I got mac and cheese, mushrooms, mayonnaise, mangoes, a muffin, maple syrup, and a margarita. I chose the $3.29 bottle of maple syrup over a $33.99 bottle. Who the f is paying that much for maple syrup? I did a pretty good job cooking the mushrooms. The mangoes, however, looked like they were cut up by the meteor that hit the dinosaurs. I very much enjoyed this meal, though. I'll give it a magnificent.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I had a couple margaritas, and I'm kind of bombed right now.
And for dessert, in the letter N, I got naan and Nutella. I assumed this combination would go well together, but I was wrong. It was perfect. My rating for it is noteworthy. I'm not typically a trustworthy source for food recommendations, I get it, but for this one, you can definitely trust me. This is a banger. Day 4 had ended, and I was over halfway through this project. It felt pretty good experimenting and learning more about foods I never would have come in contact with before this, which goes to show making stupid internet videos does have some benefits sometimes. On day 5, I started off with the O meal at my lazy grocery store. Olives, onions, oranges, Oreos, and oat milk. I could not peel an orange for the life of me, but I did randomly cut an onion perfectly for the first time in my life. Nothing on this plate went together besides the Oreos and oat milk, so I'm gonna give this meal an outrageous. Meal P I was super excited about because my audience voted on pierogies and pizza. Some people said pepperoni, but because it was a Friday during Lent, I'm not allowed to have meat today. So instead, I decided to have another topping that might be a little more controversial that begins with P. Pineapple. And let me just say here, in this house, we respect pineapple, damn it. And to the pizza elitists out there, I don't give a f. Some of these meals I've had so far, there was no real sustenance, so to get it here was perfection. And as I was making love to a sweet pineapple pizza, I completely forgot about the letter Q. There are definitely some options, but not many. So I went to the store and got quesadilla ingredients, quiche, and quinoa. I didn't do the best job at making the quinoa, shocker to no one. And I actually strictly made quesadillas at my fraternity house in college, so that was the only thing I was confident about. Overall, the quesadilla was good, but the quiche and quinoa were just bland, probably because I'm a terrible cook and also don't own any salt. For me, I'm gonna have to give this meal a questionable.
Until about yesterday, I thought kimchi and quinoa were the same thing.
And for my last meal of the day, I just wanted to have some dessert. I was super looking forward to getting Rocky Road ice cream, but I couldn't find it anywhere in the store. What was I gonna do? But then I saw some raspberry chocolate gelato and realized I was probably just worrying for no reason again. I also got some raspberries and had a pretty refreshing dessert. After day 5, I'd gotten used to the routine of what was basically adult Sesame Street, but I was also ready for this entire thing to be over. However, I couldn't wait for my next meal because on day 6, it was meal S. And meal S also has some bangers. For this meal, I got a strip steak, scallops, shrimp, salmon, sauerkraut, and strawberries, and it came out to an affordable price of, what the f? Does that say $59? Anyways, after taking out a student loan to get my first meal today, the pressure was on because this wasn't just your average meal. It was a $59 meal. If I messed up this dish, it would for sure prove that I have not been improving at cooking this week. I ended up nuking the steak to probably well done instead of my hoped for medium rare, but the scallops and shrimp were cooked to perfection and the salmon was pretty darn good too. The sauerkraut rocked and the strawberries were great because I did not touch them. This is the best meal so far. I'm gonna have to give this one a succulent. That is a weird word. And as I thought about the best meal, I also thought about the worst meal to come. Meal X. It was coming very fast, just like me.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Like, my best hope for this working at MealX was to just have somebody invent a food that day. But for now, I moved on to tea later that day. I wanted tacos, which I don't really get the difference between tacos and quesadillas, so if you have this information, if you're a tortilla connoisseur, please leave something in the comments. So I got creative and sliced up some tomatoes, not very well, but I did, and also heated up some tuna I got. I then got this turmeric tonic, which was kind of gross, but that's because healthy things are gross, I think, and a twisted tea because I'm a degenerate. I also got a turnip, and I watched a YouTube video on how to peel it, and they made it look so f***ing easy again, and guess what? It wasn't easy. Probably because I don't have a peeler.
Okay, I'm scrapping the turnip. Don't care. Don't care, I don't care.
I'm not ruining my Saturday for a f***ing turnip. The tacos turned out incredible, so overall I'll give this meal a tasty. And as I was doing this one meal at a time approach, right before I knew it, the worst meal of all happened. You. Not you. Like the letter U. Maybe way worse than the letter X. The only things people could think of for you were unagi, some exotic fruit called ube, which I definitely did not say right there, and Uncrustables, which I actually forgot about. I ended up deciding to just get unsweetened soy milk, and let me tell you, that was a terrible decision. I'm sorry if you see this and you like unsweetened soy milk. I just question all the decisions that happened in your life for you to go to the store and be like, yeah, unsweetened soy milk. That's what I should get. I'll give this meal an unbelievably bad. It's so funny because this entire week I've been worried about the letter X, and I didn't think about any of the other letters that could sneak up and be terrible as well. Meal B, I didn't have really any luck either, so I went full degen mode and got vanilla bean ice cream and went to a liquor store down the street and got vanilla vodka.
I'm about to get f***ing cooked tonight.
People talking about, oh, you taking L's. No, I took f***ing U's and V's.
I didn't really like taking shots because the last time I took a bunch of shots, I broke my leg at my high school reunion. This is the third time I was able to have some dessert for a meal, so I wasn't complaining too much. Overall, this meal was venturesome. Before I knew it, it was my last day of this project, and I was about to eat W's like Jameis Winston. I got waffles, walnuts, waffle fries, and a watermelon, which I was not confident that I would cut up successfully.
Oh!
And I was correct. However, I watched a YouTube video that said the best way to cut it is to treat it like a big onion. So I did that and it kind of actually worked. Also for this meal, I added the greatest drink of all time.
Water.
This meal was very good, so I'm gonna have to just give it a W. And now the moment I've been dreading the entire week has finally come. The letter X. I was hoping somebody in my Instagram audience would help me on this, but they were about as clueless as me in a kitchen. But that's when I recalled the purpose of this project. It's to eat alphabetically. And what's a food that has ABCs in it? And maybe some X's too. Alphabet soup. But when I got to the soup aisle, there were no alphabet soup cans until I had looked online and realized Campbell's vegetarian soup is also alphabet soup. So I thought there's probably a pretty good chance it has X in it. We'll see. And sure enough, it had every letter of the alphabet, including the coveted letter X.
Oh my God, there's an X. Oh, there's an X. Ow, my hand is on fire.
So like a weirdo, I separated every letter from the soup that wasn't the letter X. And by doing that, I made sure that the alphabet soup was really just a soup that had X letters in it. This took like, no joke, 15 minutes to do. So I just want you to appreciate the commitment I have to being an absolute psychopath. The soup was mostly just broth and had 4 X's at this point, but I was just proud that I could continue on with the rest of the project. So overall, this meal was xylophagus, which it doesn't make any sense because there are no words that begin with X that are positive or negative. They're all about like science. And now I was in the home stretch for the final meals of this week, Y and Z. For Y, I had candy yams, yellow rice, and yogurt. I honestly had zero expectations that this meal would be good, but it was actually one of the best meals I had had all week. I will definitely be eating yams more often. This meal gets a yes, slay queen from me. I'm so sorry you had to hear that. And for my last meal, Z, I heated up some zucchini noodles and chopped up some zucchini, which I actually didn't do a terrible job of chopping up. The noodles were average, but the zucchini in some butter and Old Bay seasoning was I didn't realize zucchini was that good. I was unfamiliar with your game zucchini. This meal made me zestful, and now I was officially done eating my meals alphabetically for the week. I really think I needed something creative like this to help me learn about other foods and venture into cooking more, so it was definitely worth it. And secondly, the point of this video, did I become a better cook after eating my meals alphabetically for a week? No, I still suck so bad. Did you watch any of the video? They might need to put me on a 3rd season of Worst Cooks in America.
I know what I like, baby, I like you. Miss American Pie with the